Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And RJ.
And Cameron.
Back again for more good podcast times. Okay, there's something out there that's really bothering me right now. This is something that, it's with movies, and it's really mostly almost like the determining factor to seeing a movie lots of times. But when it's a movie you really love, it's almost like, I will see it, but it's a very sad thing. Now, I don't know if you guys ever saw Expendables 1 or 2.
So the first one.
Like, I'm a huge Expendables fan. I saw both 1 and 2. Got the director's cut of 1. Even, makes it even better. Yeah. Anything Arnold Stallone and everybody else, I'm there. The third one is going to be PG-13.
Really?
How does that work?
Well, the first two, they have, like, great violence in it. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's fucking badass.
I thought that's what those movies were, like, centered around.
Oh, yeah, the whole point is just macho men. It's badass.
All these action stars in one movie killing the fuck out of other people.
But what it sounds like...
Right?
It sounds like Lionsgate's going, yo, your Expendables films aren't making enough money. Which is weird, because you're like, Lionsgate? That's the company that... My favorite thing about Lionsgate always has been that some of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life have come from Lionsgate. Some of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life have come from Lionsgate. So the whole point was like, they don't judge. They take everybody. You know, they don't care. And then when I see this, it's just like, what? It's not making... It's like... Expendables makes a profit. Maybe doesn't make, Avengers profit, but who the hell else does make that kind of profit?
Right.
And Stallone kind of came out and kind of did like the thing, like apologizing, like, it's not really, it's not my fault. I mean, it's without saying Lionsgate. Let's go like, it's borderline art. It's like borderline art does not cut it. Because I think about like, what's a perfect example is like, you take Die Hard 4. Remember how they made that one PG-13?
Which one was the Die Hard 4?
That was the one that was, it's not called Die Hard 4.
I know.
It's the one, Live Free or Die Hard.
Live Free or Die Hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Not the last one.
I really, really fucking like that movie. It was a really
that's a damn good movie. And that's actually a PG-13 movie. But like when you get the DVD copy of it, they kind of throw all the fucks back in and a little bit more like, even though it's kind of CG blood, but who cares? At least there's a little bit more violence back in. I hopefully hope they do this with Expendables 3 if they're going to go this route.
Dude, it's hard for me to go see a movie that's labeled PG-13 nowadays.
Well, because PG-13, it's just, every PG-13 movie, I don't care what it is. It can be my favorite movie of all time. Jurassic Park, it's PG-13. It's my favorite movie of all time. But I can still say, I think it would actually still be a stronger movie if it was rated R.
Yeah,
because the book's rated R. I mean, like, really pick up any novel.
The book's great, dude.
Because the book, they say fuck all the time. There's like more violence in it and everything. I kind of like, in the movie, they kind of even some characters out a little bit, because, like, John Hammond's, like, a total, like, dick in the book.
It's like we were talking the other day, like, what was it, AVP Requiem?
Mm-hmm. Because that was PG-13.
PG-13, yeah.
And I didn't see it in theaters because of that.
I know, dude.
I was just like, well, they're not selling it to my type of audience.
Especially if it's a horror movie, dude, they label it PG-13. I'm like, how do you expect me to go see a PG-13 horror movie?
And once in a, in a horror movie, every once in a while, they can pull it off. If it's not centered around the gore.
There was actually a good one that came out not that long ago that I almost didn't.
Insidious.
Yeah, that was another one too. I almost didn't go see a couple of those movies because they were PG-13. Ghost movies, I kind of like get away with the PG-13.
Yeah, because it's not like the ghost is gonna it's not Freddy Krueger.
They're going more creepy as opposed to like. Now, if they came out with like you just said, a Friday the 13th movie that was labeled PG-13, I'd be like,
why would I go and see that?
I think I'm gonna miss that one.
I mean, they'd probably have to get some really creative kills in PG-13. But I'm really kind of bummed because, like, as I said, Expendables had great violence in it, and that's always the thing I look for. Because back in the when we were kids, a lot it was kind of like you had to look for movies that had great violence. It wasn't just given to you. There wasn't as many of them. But the one thing about nowadays, you can almost guarantee that every movie has great violence. The movie might not be that great, but they most always go, it's got great violence still.
I know.
They never suffer on that. Because I always think of, like, Total Recall. Now, for, like, an action movie, that one I remember having just, like, such great violence back in the day. But, you get a lot of them where, people get shot, they just kind of fall over. And it's still a rated R movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, did you ever see the latest Texas Chainsaw Massacre? It was just called
No, I didn't see that one. Because, like, they tried to just make it shortened for, like, modern age. Because we can't have that many words in a title anymore.
Yeah, it was, like, Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, that's what they call it. It was, like...
I wish I didn't go see it, dude. It was so disappointing, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I looked at that. I literally will tell you, I probably made my decision based on the title alone.
Because they kind of made out Leatherface to be a good guy, and they tried to make you, like, sympathize with him in the end, dude. Cause like, dude, it was just horrible, dude.
Well,
Like the
all
whole
those movies
movie,
you kinda do
he's messing people up, and you're like, yes, this is total Leatherface. Then you get to the end of the movie, and then like the whole end of the movie, like the plot starts to unravel and stuff, and then you find out that Leatherface, it's really some chick is his cousin, and then they try to make you feel bad for Leatherface, and it's like, no, okay, you're not gonna make Leatherface out to be a good guy. Whether I'm rooting for him as the bad guy or not, he's not the fucking good guy. Okay, he's out slaughtering people with a damn chainsaw.
Well, that's one problem I do kind of have with a lot of modern movies is, well, this goes for any type of storytelling. They do it a lot in video games too, with some modern ones, where they always got to make the bad guys tragic. He's tragic, and I like his, 70s movies are perfect because when they have bad guys in them, they are pure evil. They have nothing. There's no reason for you to feel for them. They're like, what they do is just evil, and there's no questioning about it.
Like with the other remade Texas Chainsaw, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
2003 one.
Yeah, dude, which was a great fucking remake, dude. I don't know, dude. Honestly, I'll watch that over the original.
Really? I don't know. The original one's just
the only reason why I say that,
amazing.
dude. Honestly, it's just, dude, I'm a sucker for newer special effects, better acting, and stuff like that. And the original's great, and I fucking love it. But I mean, just
some of those scenes in that
it's
original,
kind of corny,
like,
because it's old. But I don't know.
I love the
Like,
original one so much.
I don't know, dude. They did a really good job with the first ones, and like, even though like Leatherface's story is kind of tragic, whatever disease he had that caused him to get his face all fucked up. But dude, I mean, you can still tell he's a psycho in the ones that they remade.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's still a bad guy. Like, he's still out chopping people up and ripping their faces off and wearing them around.
Exactly, like he's
Plus,
supposed to
dude,
be.
Plus, dude, the family is a supporting cast in those, like,
Well, the family's
remakes.
actually they're all actually eviler than Leatherface. That's like the whole point. Makes
When
them
they
so.
pulled, fuck, dude, I don't even remember the actor's name, but when they pulled the guy
R.L. Ermey.
Yeah, the guy he played the drill sergeant
Yep.
in Full Metal Jacket.
That part just makes it so amazing.
Dude, he's such a great actor, dude. He made that movie scary, dude, because he's so fucking insane in the beginning in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I know. R.L. Ermey, he makes a lot of roles.
Dude,
just
he's
like that.
awesome, dude. He was great in The Frighteners, dude. He doesn't even have that big of a part, dude.
He's in a lot of animated things nowadays too, because you just recognize his voice right off the bat. You're like, oh my god, that's fucking badass.
I know. I'm reading an article here. It looks like Prometheus 2 is finally getting underway.
Well, I saw that Ridley Scott was scoping out at
he's,
Australia.
He's looking for stuff in Australia. And then it also talks about him, I guess a new Blade Runner's coming out?
They've been working on this Blade Runner for a while, and I don't know where it's at the moment, but I remember they're kind of doing this thing like, it'll either be a sequel or maybe a prequel, but it might not be the same exact like Blade Runner. It was kind of weird. They were doing this, like they weren't gonna do a remake because people were like, no, don't do a remake. You don't, which people like to remake. So let's play the past. It's probably not that much in the way. Like, because I always say like, never take a good movie and remake it. Like a movie that's totally classic, it should just stay like that.
No, absolutely.
There's one exception to that though. Like, that 1999 Psycho remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that one? And what that guy did is like the way that he said that why he remade the movie, because he just did Good Will Hunting and he pretty much was allowed to do anything. And he was like this: Psycho is a great movie. It's an amazing movie, but a lot of people won't go see it because one, it's black and white, and two, it's old. So the whole point is like, I'm just gonna remake it pretty much shot for shot, just so people can see this movie. And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, that makes fucking sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like refreshing.
But yeah, I get it. Sometimes where movies like Blade Runner, it's like, well, it's not that old. It's like it's only 30 years old. As far as movies go, I don't consider that very old. But I can't wait for Prometheus too. Any more information I hear on that, it's like, oh, sweet.
Yeah. Australia's a good fucking. From what I could tell, I've seen a lot of different movies shot out there, and they can get a lot of cool scenes and stuff. I love just the barrenness of the first one, like how flat everything is, and how it's just like almost desert, type. Like I thought it was really cool, and that was apparently filmed in the UK.
Yeah,
a good majority of it, at least.
That first Prometheus is just so amazing for the fact it goes back to the classic kind of sci-fi where it doesn't have to be filled with copious amounts of action.
Yeah.
Because a lot of sci-fi movies are always like, they're action sci-fi. And then every once in a while it's interesting just to see a movie that's just straight sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for, Prometheus 2, because at this point, it's going to be the mix of the Alien and Prometheus.
Yeah, exactly. Prometheus 2 should be more epic and intense than the first one, dude. The first one was crazy.
Hopefully. Did you see that they're also making a TV show now called Hannibal?
Yeah, I did actually.
I'm
actually a little intrigued, yeah. I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be.
Well,
I
I've
think it's
seen-
supposed to be him as younger or something like that.
I think so.
Like him as like
Kinda like the Hannibal
kind of like
Rising.
his starting almost, I guess.
But
But I
it's a
don't know.
series. I think they're already on season 2 already.
Really? Wow.
Or they
It's
just
funny how like
finished- they just
these
finished
TV
season
shows can bypass you so quick nowadays.
2. No.
You know, there's just too many channels, and then it's what you combine all the channels, then you also combine all the internet networks,
Yeah.
and you combine all the HBOs and Showtimes,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden there's just like, well, how the hell does anybody keep up with all this
Oh,
stuff?
I know.
It's just TV is kind of like it's almost like that lost arc. That's why I kind of stay in the movie realm. It's
I don't
like
understand some of these TV shows that are super fucking popular, dude. Like Doctor Who.
I've never been like
Dude,
I look at
it's just
Doctor Who and it's
old,
just
man.
like
It's just an
Dude,
old
but
show.
but they did like they redid like all the seasons, like
Yeah.
remade them and shit like that. Like in
well they do it like
newer.
kind of like
And like that's the one I
007
tried.
style where it
That's
keeps
the-
continuing on, but like they find a way to switch out the
That's
Doctor.
the one I tried to watch. I tried to watch like the remade like seasons and
Yeah.
stuff, dude, and it was so lame, dude. It's so fucking lame, dude.
Well, that's
Oh
my
my
problem
God.
with most TV though. Is it just to me, it's never up to par with movies, and I'm just used to watching so many movies that when I see like television, like live action television shows, they always just seem corny.
Yeah.
Dude,
You know,
The
they were
two-
corny in the
two
90s.
that I'll say are up to movie standard right now that I'm watching is, well, I finished Breaking Bad, of course. That,
See,
that was really good. Though.
Great fucking show, dude.
I like Breaking Bad, but my biggest complaint still is like there's just too much filler.
Yeah.
I think that show
Absolutely.
would have been a perfect show if it was a 20-minute show, not a 40-minute or a 45-minute show.
I agree, but I mean, I agree with that. But dude, considering everything that did happen in each episode, it would have been hard to even fit just the important parts.
I guess because to
into the
me, I always
20
look, it's
minutes.
like you could have cut out all the wife crap, you could cut out all the sister stuff, just focus on really.
But I mean, like, even if I don't know if they did cut all that stuff out, you know, then it
Cut
then it
out
would
the
just be them
son.
cooking.
Well, that's my kind of show. It should
Well, yeah,
literally
but-
just be fucking Walt and drawing a blank on his name already.
But see, and then
Jesse, just be Walt and Jesse, and they're just fucking cooking meth and selling meth
And
and,
then
getting
usually-
into like like gunfights and
you know,
battling
usually I'm
cartels
thinking to myself, like when I see shows
and
like
explosions and fucking
when
violence.
when all they do is, you know, the main part of the show, it's like, where's this fucking guy's family at?
Yeah.
It's like, where the fuck is this guy's wife and son and stuff, you know? So it's like, I mean, it's good. I mean, maybe I agree that they probably did put in a little bit too much.
See, because I always go back to my philosophy
'Cause-
of what I had with War of the Worlds of Tom Cruise. The beginning of the movie, the fucking alien should have just killed his kids right off the bat, and the whole movie should have just been about Tom Cruise.
Yep.
Fucking fuck those kids. Fuck the family.
The son
they
didn't
need the
bother me
drama,
as much
man.
as the daughter did.
The daughter's god awful, but the son still does some really stupid shit in there.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Well,
your
it-
dad's Tom Cruise. What's fucking wrong with that?
It's the drama aspect of it. That's what people. I feel a lot of people are looking for that drama.
Well, because people they like the melodrama, and as a movie fan, there's not really that much melodrama in movies. That like, I guess also too is just I look at movies are so well trimmed. You know what I mean? A movie you got to get that down as trimmed as possible. You take a 6-hour movie and you cut it to 2.
Yep.
You know, and television shows sort of feel like they got their like scheduling and stuff, but they got to kind of. I think what they do is they go, we got a 30-minute episode. We'll put some filler in there to make it 45. You know, we don't have enough to cut it back down to a 22-minute. You know, it's kind of like books, because books to me always feel like I mean, I know they do have like editors, but you sometimes you read a Stephen King book and it's just like he just writes down everything that comes to his mind. That's why like The Shining's like 700 pages, and you kind of look at it and go like, well, Stanley Kubrick just trimmed down all of what you needed.
Yep.
I don't know, dude. With Breaking Bad, I will say, dude, there was a lot of too much them sitting around the dinner table.
I don't
I
like
think
it.
it was all important though, man. That was all super important.
See, to me, that was not
story.
I
important.
agree, dude.
whatsoever.
But like when they have like 4 episodes in a row, and then there's like a 5 or 6 minute scene, each one of them just sitting around the dinner table, quiet, having family problems. It's like, all right, you could have summed this up in 3 episodes and had a really exciting whole episode.
Yeah.
Then done 2 or 3 more episodes with like the melodrama and all that shit.
Yeah, see, for me, it's like, that's just where it kind of loses me at. And if I wasn't watching it with somebody, I don't think I ever would have finished it. Because the first time that I was, like, Done Again Let Me Borrow season 1, and I watched 3 episodes, and I just went, I can't get into it. It's just not my type of show.
Yeah.
And that's what I told him. I was like, it's just not for me. It's like, there was cool parts in it, and I like Walt, and I like Jesse at first. I started to hate him towards the end of that series, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I just
dude,
want, I want him to
becoming
fucking
a bitch,
die.
dude. He started becoming a bitch.
Yeah, I was just like, fuck you, Jesse.
I don't know. Neither of you have seen like the show Dexter, huh?
I've watched some.
I watched
most
one
of it.
episode when the
Dude,
show first came out.
That show's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's hella fucking good. The acting's really fucking good.
But back to Cameron, though, because he said he's like, the 2 shows that I think hold up well. What's that second show?
Well, And it's just another huge HBO show. It's just Game of Thrones. Like
I've
the
never
way
seen that,
it's-
but people
Dude,
talk.
that's-
the way it's filmed and produced is movie quality.
Good
I feel.
God, dude, that
But-
show
But don't
is
they only
fucking
shoot-
painful.
Yeah,
Don't they only shoot like 8 episodes of that a season?
pretty much. Yeah.
And I think that makes for better quality when you kind of do less episodes.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of say this. Back in the day in America, you did 24 episodes. You know, well, you got to stretch that same budget 24 episodes. So it becomes kind of, I think that's why sometimes older shows are a little bit cheesier because it's like, well, instead of showing us kill the guy, let's just have him talk about it, and then we cut out an action scene, save some bucks.
Yeah.
And then, you know, in the UK, they've done 12 episodes, 13. That's where that new style, like Breaking Bad, was all in 13 episodes.
Yep.
And then now they're doing even smarter, which I think is just having less. Do like 8, but put all that money you're going to put into like 24, but just make those 8 episodes really badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
dude.
The amount of costumes, the amount of special effects, and blood and gore and sex and just all the shit that's in Game of Thrones is like, I feel like I'm watching a movie every time I sit down and watch that show. And like, I thought it was really good. I do understand, like, I have a really hard time with it too. Like, I'm having to rewatch it again because
They don't sit down with like their family at some point and the wife's like
If-
cheating on
Dude,
something.
if you miss, like, if you're watching an episode and you miss more than like 3 minutes of that show,
You're fucked.
you're lost the rest of the episode. You have no idea what the fuck happened. You know, like,
Dude, I tried to start watching it, dude, and like, I was watching it, and it was really fucking slow and boring, dude.
Yep.
And like, if you're gonna have like a sword, you know, bow and arrow, whatever, crossbows,
Just have
type
somebody
show,
get shot.
It better be
Fantasy.
fucking exciting.
Have somebody
dude.
just get their head sliced off. Just cut that in every 5 minutes.
better be fucking
Doesn't have to
sound
go of anything of what's going on. They could be sitting at the dinner table and all of a sudden some guy gets his head chopped
oh, it
off.
happens.
like,
No, dude,
so it's
that's the
like-
twist. That's what really gets me about Game of Thrones is that that director and that writer that writes those books and stuff makes you fall for those characters so hard. So you're like, I really like that guy, and then just out of nowhere he just gets offed, and it's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna really like this guy. Next thing you know, a couple episodes down the line, that guy's gone. It's like, what the fuck?
My brother was watching it, dude. He was like, oh, I'm so far in, and I still haven't even gotten to where they're hitting winter. And I'm like, fuck that.
Oh,
I am
no.
not gonna sit here through this boring ass shit for this long.
What are they on,
And not
8
even get to the exciting part.
seasons or something
No,
like that?
they're on 4th right now.
I don't know how
I don't know
far.
what I'm
I don't know how far my brother was in before. I don't know when the winter.
seasons.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's that hard to get caught
Still
up
no
on,
winter?
though.
No.
Are you serious?
No, dude.
Because that's supposed to be when like, I don't know. I guess monsters and shit are supposed to start coming.
Yeah,
and
it's some-
crazy
some
shit's
kind
supposed to
of,
start happening.
forgot
That's
what
what
the
my
hell they're
brother was
called.
telling me. He kind of explained it to me because he watched it, but
Yeah.
he started getting into it. But I mean, he's more into the swords and stuff than I am, and I think that shit's cool. But
Yeah.
dude, if you're gonna have a show like that, it better be like a bunch of fucking shitload of action.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not, man. It's definitely that melodrama. A lot of
And like,
talking.
dude, I have a lot of problem with the amount of sex scenes they put into those
Yeah.
HBO show. Well, not so much the Showtime ones because I watch a lot of Showtime shows. Those don't seem to be too bad. But dude, the HBO ones, dude, just the sex scenes are so fucking unnecessary and they're so fucking long, dude.
Yep.
It's just like this is so pointless.
Yeah.
It's like
This could be somebody getting stabbed.
I could have summed this up in 10 seconds and known
Not some
exactly
woman
what
getting penetrated,
happens,
but a guy getting penetrated. Not in a gay way, but you know what I mean.
I don't know, dude.
Pull that sword out.
I'm still hooked on The Walking Dead, so.
Well, that's what I was about to say too.
That was a
that
show too, like where I watched the
AMC
first 4 episodes, and I was just like, it's not up to movie quality. I don't know, too slow.
Dude, I don't know, dude. I thought it was, dude. Like, the first season wasn't necessarily, like... Towards the end of the first season, it started to get hella good, like the last couple episodes, which would be, like, the 5th and 6th episode.
Literally the ones where I stopped. I literally stopped at episode 4, and I was, don't get me
like-
wrong, because when that first came out, I was so excited about that. You know, I was
Episodes
like,
like
dude, like
3
those
and
comic books were
4.
pretty cool. Whatever, this would be a sweet show. That's like the first time they've ever taken a comic book series and really made a nice TV show out of it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they did The Flash a long time ago.
But, dude...
They did Blade. They did some other ones, but I was like, look at that. I remember I sat there and watched the first 4 episodes, and I was like,
Nothing
this
was happening.
is so fucking slow. I'm like, this stuff happens in like 5 pages of the comic book, and that was like the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Dude, once the second season hits, dude, and like they have to like leave their camp, which would be like season or like episode 5 and 6 in that first season,
Which is
they
like
have to,
still in book 1 of like
they end up having to leave their camp, dude. It starts to get fucking nutso once they get to the farm and shit, dude. And they start introducing all the other characters, dude. It
See,
starts
the
to get
farm
fucking
is like
crazy.
that. I want to say that's still in the first book too. Like
Yeah.
that's like only like issue 3 or 4 of The Walking Dead.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, and
No,
I just
my only complaint about The Walking Dead, dude, is they always fucking did late. Like, what, season 3, they broke it up, dude. They, like, did the first, like, 6 episodes, then they had, like, a 3-month break, then released the rest of it. And then they did the same thing with season 4, dude. They did, like, the first 5 or 6 episodes, had a fucking 3-month break, then released the rest of them, and now I guess they're gonna have an 8-month break before they do the next season.
Well, that's kind of like South Park style. They do it like you do half your season, take a little bit of a break, then go back and finish it off.
Yeah.
Which I think that's kind of like, to me, it makes it more smoother than doing that thing. Like, in the old days, it used to just be like you had 6 months of the show, and then you had to wait. A little bit more than that. You had about 8 months of the show, and then you had to wait 4 months for it to come back on again.
See, that's the shit I like, dude, because it's like, dude, fuck, dude. Like, in that 3 months, I can get involved with another show.
And that 4 months is kind of like catch-up period of stuff.
And it's like, dude, like, I could, like, I'm one of those people, it's like, I like to watch shows like, fuck, dude, like, I get
marathon.
Like, yeah, exactly. So that, I can, everything, like, from the last episode still fresh, So
it's
like,
I like
have
the
to
DVD.
wait 3 months.
I'm not big, I really don't want, there's only one show at the moment I watch, and the only show I watch is Arrow. But that's really a show that I'd only recommend to anybody if they really like DC Comics. Well, if you don't really care about Batman and Superman and, Green Arrow and whatnot, it's one of those shows that wouldn't make that much of an impact on you. And it still has a bit of the melodrama. Like, in the second season, they pretty much have killed off, the first and second season, they killed off all the extra family member characters, so there's one extra character left so far. Really? Just like Green Arrow's sister. That's the only thing that's left. Which I probably just spoiled it for a lot of people. If you're waiting to catch up on that,
Spoiler alert. Sorry about that.
But the thing I like about that show, though, is just like, as a DC fan, it's each episode just about, they always had something that's like, oh, there's, Clock King. And even if they're not that significant of characters, it's just cool they put them in there, The Royal Flush Gang, there's Deadshot, Deathstroke, so on. So they just kept throwing stuff in there. And you were guaranteed in that show always a bunch of good martial arts scenes. Like, no matter what, there was always action. They weren't going to let you down there. And every once in a while, and the first season kind of had, like, it kind of tiptoed into being a superhero show, kind of like, they had the melodrama, they tried to keep it, let's keep this a little bit more grounded reality. By the second season, they kind of almost said, no, this is more of a superhero show. We got superpowers now because the Flash was introduced. And by the third season, hopefully, everything will be kind of getting closer and closer to, like, a DC cartoon or something.
Yeah. I finally, speaking about superheroes, what was your buddy talking about, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 or whatever?
Oh, did you see it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, no, dude.
That's why I had to get Dunnigan to talk about those movies.
My buddy Nick said that he walked out of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 in theaters. Like, he walked out of the movie. He said it's one of the worst movies he's personally ever seen. He's a little tough, dude. Like, when it comes to movies.
Some people are such big critics,
dude, everything he said makes sense, He just thought that the acting wasn't, as good as it should have been. He thought that they focused too much on,
Jamie Foxx?
No, he thought that they focused too much on, I don't know, dude. I didn't watch the whole first one. What's her name?
Gwen Stacy.
Gwen, yeah. He thought they focused too much on Gwen and whatever.
Well, the last podcast I did it with Dunnigan because he was up for a couple days, and we pretty much just sat down and talked about Son of Batman, that movie, and Captain America.
He says he feels like they forgot about the superhero aspect of the movie that it was supposed to be.
And I will say this, I actually thought it was a pretty good movie. I thought that it had, because a lot of times some of those, like the last Spider-Man one, the Amazing Spider-Man.
He liked the first one, but he said the second one.
That one, if the first Spider-Man movie never came out, would be totally fine. But since you like the first one only came out 10 years ago, you're like, I know the fucking story of Spider-Man. You don't have to give me this long intro. I mean, he doesn't even put the costume on until like over the hour mark. Uncle Ben doesn't fucking die till like an hour and 20 minutes. We're like, when's he gonna die? When's he gonna die? We know it is. I mean, but the second one, I thought
I don't really like
it had good action in it. It was pretty well balanced. They did kind of something where like they try to make you really feel for Jamie Foxx's character, like he's just total loser who just wants to fucking like jerk off on Spider-Man's face this whole time. No, he's literally got a fucking room filled with Spider-Man's pictures. God knows what he's doing in there.
Plus, he said in comparison to like the new Captain America and like the X-Men coming out, that like it's just not.
Well, I'll say this: it's nowhere near as good as Winter Soldier. And I just saw the new X-Men one. It was really fucking awesome.
He said that he just thought that they could have done it better. Like they could have thought about it more. And
the only problem, this is my biggest problem I had, is that they advertised like the Sinister Six. And they advertised Rhino really big in the trailer. You know what I mean? Like, you saw Rhino fucking breaking shit up. And Rhino's really... He's at the very end of the movie. He's only in it for, like, 5 minutes. And it's mostly a talking scene. Like, right when Spider-Man and Rhino go to fight, it cuts the credits. Well, that would have been totally fine. Like, don't show that in the trailer, though. Have that be a surprise. You know what I mean?
No shit,
and, like, they showed the trailer, and I was sitting there. I was going like... okay, he's battling Electro. I'm like, that's fucking pretty ballsy. They're putting like this big, huge action scene like in the dead center of the movie because he's got to battle Rhino next, right? And then like, you know,
That sucks.
the only time they really, because you know, in the trailer too, they also show him walking through the hall, and you see like, you know, the wings and the tentacles for Doc Ock, and they show a bunch of other stuff. So you're like, oh, they're gonna introduce the Sinister Six. They might not totally be a main part of this, but you thought you were gonna kind of intro to it, and that was it. That's all they showed. The same fucking scene you saw in the trailer. And then this thing was even weirder. At the very end of the movie, you know how you always kind of wait, like, mid-credits to post-credits just for something extra?
Yeah, just in case.
It was a fucking little trailer bit for X-Men, like, the new one. Days of Future Past. So it was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I thought you were going to show me some more Spider-Man stuff.
No shit, you'd think they would.
But I will say this, contradicting his, like, opinion on this, I still thought it was a pretty good movie. I think it's not perfect, but I still enjoyed it enough. And it had a lot of action in it.
Honestly, dude, I just don't like the new actor they have playing Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's not bad. I enjoy him. I'm not going to complain.
I just feel like he doesn't fit the
Who is
persona.
it? Who's
What's his
playing?
fucking name?
I can't
Andrew.
remember. He's
It's
British.
Andrew something. I just feel like he doesn't fit the persona as good as Tobey Maguire did. Like the
Yeah, Tobey Maguire's pretty good.
you
In my opinion, I always think of like my Spider-Man is always like, you know, in the animated show from the 90s. I always picture that guy because in that one, it's like he knows computers, but he doesn't feel nerdy whatsoever, and he's kind of big and buff, and he looks more kind of like a friendly jock. I'm like, that's how I want my Spider-Man to look. I don't want to be all nerdy and like having like hard times dealing with like social encounters and
I
whatnot.
like the nerdy Spider-Man just because of what he becomes after he gets bit. You know, like not so fucking nerdy.
You know. But the new X-Men was really sweet. I recommend seeing that one. Did you like X-Men?
I have a hard time with
I know.
X-Men, man.
Dude, honestly,
X-Men's a toss-up for people, I know.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with like superhero movies lately. Dude, I
You're making
could
too
never
many
get
of
into
them.
X-Men. I know, dude. They're
Now,
coming out like crazy, dude.
Now, the one you should see, though, when it comes out on DVD is
Like-
see Captain America the Winter Soldier.
Like, I never saw Captain America. I never saw Thor.
Thor was good.
Thor's pretty good. It has, like, that one has its problems, but, like, it's still a pretty good movie.
It's funny. Like
It's just mainly
I
I
like
don't like
Spider-Man.
Kat Dennings. Like
yeah.
I'm pretty much a Spider-Man, Batman guy.
Batman, I always like Batman. You should see the new Batman movie that just came out, the animated one, Son of Batman.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty
I heard
sweet.
about that, actually.
But the new
Marvel,
Captain America,
like-
though, I kid you not, out of like the Marvel, like the Disney section of Marvel, the Marvel Studios ones, so not including X-Men and Spider-Man and like Daredevil and stuff, that one is by far the best Marvel Studios movie they made. Better than the Avengers, better than Thor, better than the first Captain America, better than Iron Man, but that's kind of like the given for me.
Yeah.
The Iron Man one's like, I like Robert Downey
Yeah, I like
Jr., but I
Iron
just
Man.
don't like him as Iron Man. Just.
Iron Man was pretty good.
But this new Captain America one, really, the only thing that would make it just a perfect movie for me is if they just took out Scarlett Johansson and put somebody else in there.
Yeah.
I just really don't like her. And last year, it was just like, there were so many movies. It's just like, I wanted to see these movies, and she happened to be in every fucking movie. She was in Captain America. She was in Avengers, even though I guess that was 2 years ago. She was in Don John. She was in something else.
I know a new Transformers movie's about to come out.
That one looks pretty good because they got smart. Just like, get rid of fucking Shia LaBeouf and put Marky Mark in there.
I know, dude. Mark Wahlberg's a badass. That's the reason why I'm torn, dude. Because like I kind of want to go see it because I'm a fan of Mark Wahlberg, dude. But it's like I really don't like the Transformer movies, dude. And I really don't like Megan Fox.
Well, she's not in it either.
Really?
Uh-huh. Except for which I can't figure out. She's in the new Ninja Turtles and she plays April O'Neil.
I know, dude.
And I was like, that is
bugging me.
When I saw that, the first thing I did is I went on Twitter. I'm like, that is fucking racist towards Irish people. What the fuck is wrong with you? Apparently, Shredder. Somebody at like Dunnigan told me this because I didn't notice in the trailer, but Shredder's a white guy. I was like,
Really?
that is double racism.
It's bugging me that Megan Fox in the new Ninja Turtles, dude. Because I really don't like Megan Fox, dude.
No, I don't either.
I haven't seen any on that
Bugs
yet
the
at all.
fuck out of me.
You know, I will say this to watch the trailer on it at some point. I think the movie actually looks
Dude,
pretty
it looks
decent.
fucking badass, dude.
Yeah,
I can't wait
like,
for it to come out.
I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna put aside that apparently Shredder's white, and I'm gonna put aside that Megan Fox is not Irish.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like.
But it
the
looks
other-
pretty good.
The one Ninja Turtle movies that came out, like 1 and 2, Secret of the Ooze and shit like that. Like,
Oh,
they
the
kinda
good
went
one, like the
Yeah.
best Ninja Turtle
back-
movies.
Yeah, they didn't go, animated and stuff.
Well,
like
even though that
Even
fourth one we
though-
saw, remember the one we saw in theaters, like the CG one? That's
Yeah,
actually
dude,
a
that was
pretty
actually a
damn
really
movie.
good one. Actually, I really enjoyed that one. But
Because I was kind of iffy at first. I'm like,
I like the-
CG.
I like the way this one's looking.
Plus, that CG Ninja Turtles movie, like whenever I watched that again not too long ago, I'm like, that CG blows the water out of everything else CG. Like, it makes Pixar movies look put to shame for how
Yeah.
good it looks. I mean, for like a cartoony style CG
Yeah.
stuff, it's great looking.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I just really hope
as I
they-
said, go see The Winter Soldier when it comes out, though. Like, that one, just including Scarlett Johansson. And I will say this: I don't like Scarlett Johansson whatsoever, but she actually didn't do too bad of a job in this one.
Okay.
You know, because most of the time it's I always look at her and go like, her nose is so fucking ugly. She has bad acting. You know, she's weird looking, and then like I'm kind of lost. And this one, she made up for it a bit. You know, but the movie itself, it's just constant action in it, great storytelling. You know, perfect movie.
Right on. God, man.
Dude, I was actually reading today. They're announcing kind of like the Fallout 4 stuff.
Oh yeah.
Not really. They didn't really announce anything. They just said that like they're putting all their attention into making it right now.
Right.
That's their main project.
I fucking hope it's good, man. I wasn't a fan of New Vegas. Like, I love 3. 3 was by far like probably one of my favorite, that style, like that Bethesda style, you know, RPG style.
Yeah,
like,
that kind of
open
like
world.
American RPG. I always call it.
So good, but
The
Fallout
fourth one,
New
like
Vegas,
I didn't get the fourth one, or I'm calling it the fourth one because fucking
Yeah.
pretty much the fourth one. That always confuses me. You know what I mean? It's like
I
for the
felt
longest
like it was
time
an
we were always calling
expansion.
Code Veronica Resident Evil 4,
Uh,
and then all of a sudden they released Resident Evil 4, and you're like, oh, I guess I gotta start calling it Code Veronica.
yeah. Well, I felt like New Vegas was more of an expansion, like a total standalone expansion almost to Fallout 3, because it's the same engine, it's the same world, it's the same universe. It's just on the other side of the United States. You know, it's in Vegas as opposed to being there in the DC
Well,
area. for
1 and 2 is
Fallout
all in
3.
the same universe too.
Yeah.
And then there's also, I've never played it before, but there's that like the Fallout Tactics, like Command and Conquer style one.
I never played that either.
Yeah, that looked cool. I've never played it though.
No. But I didn't like the whole... I guess it kind of delves into that side of video gaming where you don't want too much realism in your game, because then it just gets tedious. I hate having to stay hydrated. I hate having to sleep.
Well, too much realism, then it gets to the point like, why don't I just go outside?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I said it with movies too. If you're gonna make a movie too realistic or set it too much in reality, why don't I just look outside?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't go to fucking see the movies to see something real unless it's like a Woody Allen picture.
Yeah.
You know.
But I know a lot of people that really liked Fallout New Vegas. Like, really liked that whole aspect of it, the hardcore mode. Where
Well, Cisco, he got that one, and he got really into it. He said it was just... By the time he's done with, he's like, you know, there's some glitches and stuff, but whatever. He said it was just as good as Fallout 3. By the time you do everything...
Yeah.
The one thing everybody can't explain to me is it sounded like they just put, like, way too many missions. That was, like, the biggest complaint I
There's
heard.
way too many options.
It's just like, they're like, you know, you go to do this one mission, and the next thing you know, that splits out to 5, and then you do one of those missions, that's another 5, and then you start getting these humongous lists, and you don't know what to really do.
And everything's based off factions in that game. It's like you befriend people or you piss off people.
Yeah,
You know, and like, say if that first person you helped out, you know, wants you to go kill this other faction that you're also helping out at the same time, it's like you have to make that choice of who do you want, and then that drastically changes the whole outcome of the game. You know, it's like, that's cool, that's awesome, it's like that Mass Effect style, you know, but it's just, it's too much almost. Like, that's another game that you're going to have to dump 500, 800 hours into, you know, to really get the whole experience and play it over and over.
Well, that's
and
why I
over
didn't play Fallout New Vegas, because, as I've said this before, I got Fallouted from Fallout 3.
Yeah.
And it put a damper on me of other games, too. Like, I went to play, what's that Doom one called again? Rage?
Rage, yeah.
And that game, even though it was a really good game, and I actually liked it, and it was like, but to me it was like, it's Fallout with cars. That's all this is.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I felt like, been here, done that. That's what it felt like when I played that game. Even though it was a really good game, and I thought, you know, had for the time at least, probably still just good today, but like those graphics in that game were so amazing too. I was just like, oh my god. And maybe I'll see when you come, because Fallout's such a big game that the graphics kind of toned down a bit.
Yeah.
So you go into that game, and you're like, dude, Jesus Christ, look how good these graphics
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And then I remember I went to play Borderlands, and I played it for about an hour. And I was like, it's just Fallout, but co-op.
Yep.
And then that was as far as I got. I actually just went back, sold the game for like a little bit more than I paid for it, and that was the end of that.
Borderlands 2 is a lot better.
It's like,
had a
I bet
really hard
Borderlands
time.
is a great game, but for some reason, like at the time, it was
can't
just
get
like
into it, dude.
it was the same thing as Fallout, and I was just like, I put so many hours in the Fallout. I feel like I've just been here, done that.
Yep.
But by the time Fallout 4 comes out, I think I'll be ready again for Fallout.
Yeah, especially, you skipped Skyrim, didn't you?
I've never played any of those games.
Okay, well...
And those games,
That
are
might
like
be good.
Fallout, but with swords and shields, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's the fantasy version of it instead of the gritty.
Yeah. So it's kind of like
gunplay.
Mass Effect, and then what the fuck's their other one? I can't remember what it's called, but they have another game where it's not sci-fi. It's like fantasy instead.
You talking about Bethesda?
No, the Mass Effect company, BioWare.
Oh, BioWare?
They also made the Sonic the
that's,
Hedgehog game, though.
Dragon Age is what you're thinking
Yeah,
of.
Dragon Age.
Yeah.
They also made it. There's a Sonic the Hedgehog RPG that they made, and it's cool because it has that same type of thing where you can pick what they say, so you can make Sonic just be like the total douchebag. And just
Really?
like,
They made something like that?
Yeah, it's for DS,
That's
and
weird.
the sweetest thing too is you ever play Mario RPG?
A little bit, yeah. I've never beaten it, but
Well, the coolest thing about it, though, is this game, because there's never really been another game that's been as like kind of that same style as Mario RPG.
Mhm.
This game comes really damn close to it because it plays like a Mario RPG. The only downfall of the game, though, it's one of those games where you have to use the stylus the whole time.
really,
So you like the move. I mean, it's an RPG, so it's like it's not the worst thing, but it is kind of like, and you gotta tap and it's just like these could just be button presses.
Yeah.
And there's no option. But yeah, they made that game, or at least a sub company of BioWare made that game.
that's weird. That's weird.
But it plays just like Mass Effect.
Yeah, they actually BioWare just released a couple trailers for their new Dragon Age. It's called Dragon Age Inquisition, I believe.
Inquisition. What is
But it looks amazing. Like just the stylization of the artist's rendition of the game plus that engine that it's running on, it's beautiful, dude. It's a beautiful looking game.
Speaking of, I was reading stuff on Mass Effect 4 too, or whatever they're gonna call it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that they're like we're probably gonna release it for PS1 or Xbox One and PS4. I always want to say that like the other way around for some reason, but because there technically is a PS1, but
Yeah.
So it's like that's what they're saying. It's probably gonna. They're like, what do you mean it's probably gonna come out for? It's like, shouldn't you know this? Like, I mean, what other choices you got? What are you gonna do? Release on PS3 and Xbox 360?
Yeah.
When games kind of do that nowadays, it's just kind of like, just let those systems they have their time in life. Just literally cut the fucking cord. Don't keep these systems alive past when the next one comes out.
No, it'll be through next holiday season. I'm sure will be the final cutoff of PS3.
You know, I mean, if it's sports games, I think are fine to keep releasing on there. But like when it comes to like real video
if you're
games,
gonna develop for it,
might
for
as well.
current
Yeah,
gen.
it's like,
No, dude, but then, you'd be asking them to also make sure that when they do finally release these systems, if they're going to cut off the games of the old systems, to make sure these new systems aren't going to have any fucking problems at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's a lot to ask. Like, I'm glad that they continue making PS3 games for as long as they do for the next couple of years or whatever, because, like, fuck, dude, I was going to get a PS4 this last New Year, but I'm going to wait until it's next New Year. So it's like, I'm glad they're still at least making games for PS3 and shit like that, because there's still bugs and shit they need to work out in both the systems. So
the way I always look at it is whenever a new system comes out, like I think they should just cut it off, and that year is because most of it they never really release very much in the first year.
Right.
You know, you mostly always gotta wait a year. You know, Nintendo a lot of times they'll release you with one good game, and then next thing you know, it's like the DS. You had the Mario 64, and then you literally didn't have anything for 6 months, but then they just gave you a flood of games.
Yeah.
You know, so it's probably longer than 6 months. I think the first like good game to come out after Mario like DS, maybe they had Tetris came out by that point, or Mario 64 DS. I think it was like Advance Wars. And that was in August.
That's the other thing too, but it's like there's nothing on the PS4 I'd even want right now, really.
No, you know. So
for
I
either
always just
system.
look at it. It's like it's catch up. It's where you kind of go back and you play all those games you never played. You know.
Yeah, and I think Microsoft is finally starting to realize their mistake of making the Kinect like a main feature.
Well, I'm
And
glad they
now-
dropped that out.
I know. Now they're finally releasing a lower priced non-Kinect console. That's awesome, but at the same time, that's going to cause so many problems for developers in the future because their initial business model of this thing was that it had to have Kinect in it. They had to have reserved CPU space for Kinect, and that's gonna fuck because you're gonna have your early adopters that bought that console with the Kinect in it that are gonna have to either unplug the fucker if they want to play some of these new games that are developed without Kinect, or leave it in and suffer frame rate issues or whatever because of the CPU usage. It's like, oh, that was a bad step, Microsoft.
I made this
that was bad.
joke to like one of my friends because I was like, you know what happens? You're gonna go out, and you're gonna buy this $400 Xbox One, and the first thing it does when you turn it on, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, go out and pick up the Kinect.
Yep.
And you just be like, the fuck?
Yep.
But I was like, because I remember like when I first looked at the PS4 and the Xbox One, I was like, the only reason the Xbox One's like $100 more is because of Kinect.
Yeah.
Because I was like, the PS1 or the PS4, they're smart because they're like iToy, or whatever they call it nowadays. They don't still call it the iToy.
It's not required, but
But yeah, they make it like a separate thing. It's like $80 or something for it. And I was like, well, that's smart because who the fuck wants? It's like I don't care about the Kinect. I'm not a child. I don't need like them to shake my hands at the screen and whatnot. Like.
No.
I'm an adult. Give me a fucking controller.
No, dude, it's alright, because, like, dude, when the Kinect came out and the Star Wars game for the Kinect is fucking badass.
Is it
dude.
pretty sweet?
Dude, it's hella sick, dude. I love it.
I've never played a single Kinect game, to tell you the truth.
Really?
Mm-mm.
I have a couple. There was this really cool game called Gunstringer where you just like you're basically what are those guys called that hold up puppets? You know, and they like move around and stuff. They made you
Puppeteer.
you lift up your left hand, you're controlling a puppet, and then you hold your other hand like a gun, and you just like it's kind of like an on rails type game where it just runs you along this level, and you just gotta like shoot stuff as you're going along, and you move your character left and right to avoid objects and pull them up to jump and stuff. It was a cool concept, but
Well,
like,
it's just a little creative.
it just doesn't work. Like the only thing that I've seen with Kinect so far, I'm only speaking on 360 because that's the only experience I've had so far. But the only thing that I've really seen that was cool was like games like Skyrim and games like Mass Effect 3 to have voice commands like as you're playing.
And that technically has nothing to do with like a camera. That's just a microphone.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you really technically it's like you should be able to just do those voice commands if you're like little Xbox headset.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
That's
And
what
it's one of those ones like those voice commands. It's probably pretty cool. I've never tried it up there. At first, you kind of look at like voice commands.
Yeah.
It works well,
dude.
Up on the D-pad.
Instead of like you know in Mass Effect when you have to like go into that pause menu where you have that circle wheel and you have to like select your character and then you like point to where you want them to go and then you say I want you here. It's instead of that it's just seamless. You know you're playing the game, you point your cursor over while still playing and say Garrus move. And he goes, boop, and he fucking moves over there exactly where you want him. Or like
that's kind of cool.
You know, whoever you know has like the tech abilities, just like want you to do X.
Yeah, do that thing where you push people away.
Yeah, you know.
You use your force push. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like just like in Star Wars.
And technical shit. I don't know. But that was cool. Like that was good integration of the Kinect. But beyond that, for camera reasons and everything else, it's an HD camera, man. That's all I can really tell.
Well, yeah.
And it doesn't pick you up that well. Like,
yeah, it just seems there's always those things that's just kind of gimmicky. Some gimmicky things that sound gimmicky actually work out well. Like I always thought the Wii mode actually worked. Not that everybody really utilized the Wii mode very well, but when like the games that did utilize it, it did work pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Kinect thing, I'm just like, it was just. I remember when I came for 360, it was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and then with the Xbox One, I'm kind of glad they're dropping that off though. So I'm like, oh, okay, good. Now if I go out to buy one, I'm gonna pay an extra $100.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way I feel about it. And really, like, I haven't seen too many Xbox exclusives that really make me want to buy that, other than the new Halo.
The Halo 4-pack thing.
Well, the Halo 5 next year.
Oh yeah, but did you see that they have a Halo 4-pack coming out?
Yeah, that comes with
1, 2, 3, which was kind of weird.
3, and 4.
It's one of those ones like I like that pack, and I'm like I know what they call it the Master Chief pack, so they can kind of get away with just doing the like 1 through 4, but just like
throw Reach in there,
just,
throw ODST in there.
Just
God
round off the package. It's just, it's just if there was like 20 Halos and they only picked those 4, that's fine. You know what I mean? But when you only have like 6 fucking games, it's just like might as well just make that just like the ultimate pack.
Yeah. Bump up the price just a little bit and throw Halo Reach in there. Make it $70.
Yeah, and throw
whatever.
ODST in there. Too. It's just like because both those games are they're just as good. They're probably not nearly as good as the 4 number ones, but they're still pretty good.
I really liked Reach. Reach was fucking awesome, but that's just because I read the books and I know the back lore to what Halo was.
Well, Reach, the one thing I like about Reach is like even though it felt really short compared to the other ones, like story wise. Mm-hmm. I like because all the levels are perfect. They kind of gave you what you want every level. Every level you got to drive.
Yep.
Every level, there's a lot of good like green levels. It sounds weird, but like in Halo, like what always sold me on it is like I like the outdoor levels.
Yeah.
It just looks so cool. It seems so strange, but like whenever you're confined to being like indoors, you're like, oh, that's not nearly as cool. It's like in that green field or in the snow or.
That was one of my favorite parts in the original Halo, and it's so simple. But you remember when you come down off that ship and you crash?
In the very first level?
Yeah, the very first level.
Yeah, that first level.
You get out and you look around and you can see the Halo ring, just like
just
right
a
up
huge
above
environment.
You. It was massive.
It
dude.
sells
it
it for you just instantly. And then they give you a fucking vehicle, and you're like, I've never driven in a first-person shooter before.
Yeah.
Or at least I don't think I have. That tank and GoldenEye.
Yeah.
That's about it. There's probably a couple other games.
Right
But you get a refill?
Yeah.
I'll be right back. But there is some like games because there is like if I got an Xbox One today, there's Dead Rising 3.
Dead Rising 3,
and that's exclusive.
That is one thing that upsets me so fucking much.
And then also 2 is what the trying to blank right now. Killer Instinct.
Oh yeah.
They made a new one of those, and I heard it's really badass.
I probably won't get an Xbox One, dude, but I really hope that at some point they at least release Dead Rising 3, even if it's in 2 years from now or whatever, on the PS4, dude. Because, like, I think,
is Dead Rising, is any of the Dead Risings on PlayStation?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because
Dead Rising 2, I have 2 on PlayStation.
And I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure they made one for PlayStation.
I think
they ended up making it for the PlayStation.
But,
dude, I mean, like, when Dead Rising first came out, it was an Xbox exclusive.
Because there wasn't a PS3 3 at that point though, because that wasn't that like a release. I remember that was
a
a
year.
Because
Dude,
your brother,
it took a while.
Your brother had an Xbox 360.
Yeah,
like,
and I had Dead Rising.
Yeah, and you had that was the first game I remember playing on it.
It took them a while for them to release Dead Rising on the PlayStation, so I'm hoping they do the same thing with Dead Rising 3. But
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
I don't think so, man. That's an Xbox One exclusive,
Yeah,
and they
well,
said that
fuck
it's gonna
Xbox
stay.
So at least if I had to choose like right now, the Xbox One definitely has more games to go out and pick. Because on PS4, you kind of look at the games, you're just going, well, I guess I gotta wait till the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, that's what I'm doing. Because, like, dude, honestly, the one game I want for the next gen console is The Evil Within. Like, that's the first game I want. So it's like,
I think that game comes out for 360 and PS3.
yeah, it's a.
So just in case we get poor and somehow somebody can't afford it, we're still in luck.
But
that because I think
that
doesn't
doesn't
come out
come
like
out
December or something like that.
like November. I think,
November
or
probably
something
comes out
like
maybe
that,
October.
Did they push it in November? Last I heard it was September.
Yeah, okay.
I think I don't know. I thought it was August or November. I don't know. Somewhere between
Quarter
August
4,
and
dude.
November.
It's
sometime.
quarter 4. That's
Pretty much
August.
for me, it's like when one of these like main games comes out. I know Metal Gear Solid won't come out this year, so I don't have to worry about that one. But
They're shooting for May.
yeah,
year.
but when Arkham Knight comes out, I think that's gonna be my main thing that I have to
That
go
game
out.
looks sick.
I'm gonna have to either go out and get, and I'll probably go with the Xbox One. I kind of want to get a PS4, but really, when I read all the things like, no, they're never gonna have PS3 games on there, and no, they can't do any of this and that. I'm
I
just
don't
kind of
think
like,
the Xbox One plays 360 games.
yeah, but I got a 360.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
difference.
Okay.
I'm not too big of a like. If I own the system, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, it's nice to be able to have that, and it's one thing I can always give Nintendo credit. I'm like, at least the Wii U still plays Wii games.
Yep.
You
Does it,
know,
does it go back to GameCube?
it doesn't
too?
go back to GameCube.
Oh.
Too bad.
Didn't the original Wii go play GameCube games?
Uh-huh.
Right?
Nintendo, ever since well, really it starts with Game Boy, because GameCube doesn't play backwards compatibility. But ever since pretty much the Game Boy Advance, I'm not gonna count Game Boy Color because those games aren't that much different. But Game Boy Advance played Game Boy games. You know, DS played Game Boy Advance games. 3DS played DS games. You know, Nintendo's always been pretty good about always at least having.
Yeah.
Which that's always like the best thing too, because you know sometimes you get a new system, you're like, yeah, I got a new system. And you get one game, and then after a while, you're like, finish that new one. What am I gonna do? And then you just kind of pull out your old games. I remember when I had a Wii because there wasn't very much that came off the Wii, and I didn't get Zelda day one because I was like, I'll get that. Like I got it like in a couple days, but
Yeah.
like I was like, oh, the Wii Sports will hold me over for about the next couple days. Day one of having it after playing Wii Sports for a while, me and my friend were sitting there and going, let's see what Resident Evil looks like on the Wii.
Yep.
It was just the only thing. It's just like, let's see what these old games look like on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it kind of bums me that like they don't have any backwards compatibility. It bums me too that they can't make them like they can't download them either. It sounds like
You know what
they
I'm-
sound. They say
Yeah.
something maybe in the future, but it's gonna be something different, like a streaming service or something weird like that.
Do you think that maybe it's slightly holding Nintendo back, that they're focusing? Well, I mean, I know they're not focusing so much on it, but that they're not focusing more on,
Third parties.
I don't know, dude, making their systems better. You know, it's like they're still making their stuff backwards compatible and stuff like
I
that.
don't think that's
dude.
what holds them back.
I think
much.
Nintendo.
Well, I mean,
the
I know
one
it's
thing
not
that-
necessarily, that's not the only thing that could be holding them back, but I mean, like, you know, it's like they're still focused. I don't know.
Well,
know
they
if they're
kind of
focused
like
on
was
it.
ones like the
They're still
downfall of
focused
Nintendo
on
is
family play, really, but
yeah, they focus on that, and then they also got like they know for a fact that like the only place you're ever gonna get Nintendo games is on the Wii.
Yeah.
And on the the Wii U, and they understand that like no matter what, anybody who's a Nintendo fan like, because the first thing I said is like I'm not buying a PS4 and Xbox One until I have a Wii U. There's just no reason for me. I feel like there's no reason. I gotta get a Wii U first. You know, and even though there's enough games out for the Wii U to make it worthwhile. I could probably name 5 games that have make
Mario
it great.
Kart 8, dude, looks sweet.
That looks fucking. There was a review I saw, and I didn't really want to read it too much because I don't like to read a review until I know I'm gonna get a game. And they got the amazing fucking deal too. Like, you can buy Mario Kart 8, and for like literally 3 months, Nintendo gives you this because Nintendo just seems to give. You buy Mario Kart 8, and they give you a free code to download either the Wind Waker remake, the Super Mario 3D, not the New World one, but like the first one that came out, Pikmin 3, and then there's one other game. And it's like, that's fucking badass, because like Zelda's still $50 right now.
Yeah.
So you buy one. It's like almost like you could say, I bought Mario Kart for $10, and you know what I mean, and I paid $50 for Zelda, or vice versa.
Yeah.
dude, I don't know, dude. As much as I love Nintendo, they really need to get their ass in gear in terms of the console wars, or else they're not going to survive much longer.
Well, if
Well,
you
it's
watch,
like
you watch their numbers right now.
They're not doing so
They're
good.
not.
Well, the problem
Dude, when
is
the
too,
Wii first came out, dude, Nintendo's numbers were crazy, dude.
and they got lucky.
couldn't
The
keep
Wii
up.
was kind of a lucky. That was Because they
Well,
were
it was innovative, dude.
because they were struggling on.
It was new.
The GameCube was having struggles too. It still had a lot of great games for it, but it was still kind of like.
You know, I think the uprise of the Wii was literally just going back to that business thing, talking about supply and demand. You couldn't find those things anywhere during this first year of launch. I looked everywhere for a Wii U. I could not find one, and every time that they got a shipment in, they were gone.
I remember Dunnigan's like when he got his. He was just one day. He's like. He was in Walmart or something, so like I said, like this. I'm just gonna go see if there's one there, and he goes in there, he's like, "Holy fuck, there's a Wii there!" And he ran to the fucking ATM machine, got money out, and went back and bought it. You know, like almost like where your heart's just beating, almost like, is this a dream? Am I gonna wake up?
I had to go to Walmart at 2 a.m. and wait in line for my Wii.
I know. I didn't pre-order, but like I ordered it like. Back ordered, I guess that's what you call it. Like, what the fuck else do you call it? Like when you don't pre-order, but you kind of pre-order it when it's already came out.
Yeah.
Like I back ordered mine offline, and I got it a couple weeks later.
Why is it called Wii, man? What's the concept behind Wii? Like, why did they call it that?
It must be a Japanese thing, dude. I don't think it was the greatest name for a system.
No, I don't think it was. They could have had something better. You know, but really, you know, I almost wish for like the Nintendo, like I don't even care if it costs like $100. They should just release something for like it just plugs into your Wii U and it just pretty much gives it more RAM, more processor, more.
They did that with the 64.
Yeah, like that, like the 64DD thing or whatever, like the thing that you could play like the Master Quest of Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
I don't care. Just release one of those. Have it come with a fucking Blu-ray drive. I don't care if it makes my system not sleek or it doesn't make it nearly as portable as it is. Fuck it. Just make one of those. It seems like it'll be cheaper than anything else because you can carry on.
Does the Wii U play DVDs yet?
I still have yet to try that.
You ought to try that.
I need to try.
I'm curious on that. That was very strange for them to not release a DVD player with.
Well, you know what's the weird thing too is like on my Wii, I just downloaded some homebrew DVD player and it just plays DVDs just fine. Okay. So the process is there. Just Nintendo I don't know why they didn't put it on there.
That's a strange.
And I know the one thing I do like that Nintendo most always says games come first because I do look at things like the Xbox One and it's just like I don't want fucking social crap networked into my thing. I don't want TV. I don't want any of this bull crap. I'm only here to play video games.
Yeah.
You know, and because that was one thing that used to bother me about like Xbox 360 is like when it was hooked up to the internet. You're just bombarded with ads, and it's just like, fuck you, Microsoft. Like, that's fucking annoying.
That's the one thing that's turning me on more towards the PS4 as compared to the Xbox One nowadays, is because from the get-go, PlayStation or Sony was saying, this is for gamers. Like, this console is mainly generated around gamers. While Xbox, during their reveal, did you watch that hour-long reveal? It was all about TV. It was all about centralized.
And the games was like 1/5 of the thing.
It was. I was upset, dude. And that was, if you go back into that gaming forum around that time last year, like, oh my god, dude. And when they finally announced the actual name, because everybody, what did they call it? It was like,
should have been called Xbox 720. I'm sorry, that's what it should have been fucking called. You called the next one Xbox 1080.
I can't remember what they had named it. It was some project name that they had named it, and then when they released the actual name of Xbox One, people lost their fucking minds.
Well, it's annoying now because now you got called the Xbox, or you got called the first one the original. You can't call it Xbox One anymore.
Mm-hmm. And then they started. Microsoft tried to. It's recently changed. They've actually switched the showtime now to premiere their Halo series and whatnot. But Xbox Division was planning on creating their own service, kind of like Netflix does.
Because there was a thing called Sega Vision back in the day.
And call it Xbox Originals. It's like how are you going to differentiate the old Xbox titles, versus these new TV series that are coming out and call them Xbox Originals? It just doesn't make any sense. No. Granted, again, like I said, they've moved all those services over to Showtime. Showtime's going to be doing all their Halo series and stuff.
But yeah, it's just there's one of those ones. It's like when it comes down to it, the main reason I feel like if I'm going to spend that $400, I know for a fact I won't get the other system anytime soon. I mean, since I still don't have a PS3 to this day, that's going to show that I still might not have whatever one I'm going with. That's the one I'm stuck with, and that's why I feel like in the long run, I think I want to get an Xbox One just because I know for a fact that I'll be able to get Gears and even the next Halo.
I haven't heard nothing from Epic about Gears.
Metal Gear beats both.
Epic doesn't do Gears anymore. It's their Microsoft games now.
Oh, okay, maybe that's why.
Because Epic's they're doing like I saw this thing that they're doing and it was like they had like one of those like it's gonna be one of those online kind of like MMO shooter things, but it's all like goofy looking and looks kind of like cartoony and whatnot. I'm like that's fucking gay looking. Like
yeah.
Well, I mean Cliff Walensky's not with them anymore, but it's like.
There's a lot of,
and then they're also like they got the Unreal 4. Yeah, that's the one, right?
You're talking about the engine?
Yeah.
The Unreal Engine 4 is what they call it.
It's just good because like, wait a second, is it Unreal 4 or 5? I don't.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
that's gonna bring on a whole new onslaught of games, man. That engine is.
When you think about Unreal 3, that's like every game you played in like the last while that wasn't a Nintendo game.
No, that technology is gonna really kick off here pretty quick. It's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited for the Unreal Engine 4. But I don't know, man. Like, I really, really want to get a PS4, but I'm still sticking to my guns, and I'm just gonna wait for Q4 of 2015. I think that'll be the year that all the games that are actually developed for those consoles and not gonna be ported back to the existing, PS3 and Xbox 360.
Cut the ties, cut the umbilical cord.
That's where games are gonna get fucking nuts and visually fucking amazing, and like I don't really know how much more they're gonna do with gameplay mechanics so much. Like, they kind of already set that bar, with this last console
they'll find little
generation.
things, because like I remember when the 360 first came out. I remember first looking at some of the games, and it was just like, just a little bit higher res. That's all.
Yeah.
That's at first I was like, that's all it looks like. It's like
Yep.
Call of Duty 2 or whatever. Like one of the first games that came out for, I'm like, that doesn't look that impressive, But over time, it got better and better, and then it's all the small details.
Well, I think that's the other thing that I got
It wasn't
going.
an N64 to GameCube. It wasn't a Super Nintendo to the 64 leap. It was a smaller leap, but then you realize, it's all the little details that's what makes it. And I feel like with this system, or the Xbox One and PS4, it's just going to be, those details are going to be even more finer and even more of them.
Right. Well, that's one thing I think that I have going for me, that the reason why I don't need a next-gen console is because literally almost everything that is being released on console, next-gen, is on PC. And I have the PC, and it's like...
that's been the PC, gamers' argument for most years, for the last while.
Yeah.
There was a time period where they started making less and less.
Yeah.
Speaking of PC games, did you see that there was, GTA 5 was having, a counter petition about porting the game to the PC?
Oh, they've done... Yeah, that's been an ongoing thing.
Has it been that?
Yeah.
I just read that and I was like, oh, what the fuck? And the main reason the creator doesn't want it is because he doesn't want it to be torrented and, pirated. And it's kind of like, I look at it this way. It's like, one, the game came out 6 months ago or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's already made, so much money, by putting it on PC, in literally 6 months or something like that. All you're doing is making more money. It's like you made your main profit by a video game. If you make that amount of money, if it gets torrented and pirated by that point, who the fuck cares? You made your money by far. And
well, I feel like Rockstar, they're probably going to do the same approach that they did with Grand Theft Auto 4, is wait a year, release them. I think, because there's a new, I read a tweet by somebody over there at Rockstar that was saying that they got something in the works that's going to be released at E3 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Not released, but shown at E3 this year. It could be a couple things. It could be a new Max Payne, it could be a new Red Dead Redemption, or it can be a port from Grand Theft Auto 5 to the new consoles, because so far they're not on the new consoles.
I read a thing, though, that they said they're to put Grand Theft Auto 5 on PS4 and Xbox One is going to take so much recoding that they're it's most likely not going to happen because it's going to be too much fucking work.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys, we made the game. We're not going to go back and remake it.
But if they were to do that, I have a very strong feeling that it will be released on PC at the same time. Mm-hmm. Look at Grand Theft Auto 4 right now. That game is, 2008, I think is when that came out. So here we are 6 years later. That game is still running strong
No,
because
2007, I want to say.
Was it 2007?
No, I think it came out at the very beginning of 2008.
Something like that. But that game is still running strong on the PC just because of the mod community.
The mod.
And, dude, Grand Theft Auto 5, just that engine that they're running is going to be incredible on PC.
I'll tell you one thing, dude. Before they think about releasing fucking Grand Theft Auto 5 on the fucking PC, they better think about releasing the heists on the goddamn online consoles, dude. Because I swear to God, they need to focus on that shit, dude. It's the main reason why I bought the stupid game in the first place, dude. Okay, get the game, realize I need to wait a month or whatever for the online to even come out. I'm like, okay,
now,
great.
6 months later.
I know, now 6 months later, I still have no bank heist that I can play with my friends.
Yep.
Speaking of back to Fallout 4, that's what they were talking about on that one, too, that the guy really wants to put it on PC to have all the mod stuff. And he thinks that's just amazing to have.
Well, same thing that is going on with Grand Theft Auto 4 is that Fallout 3 is still alive because of the Nexus community.
Yeah.
And Nexus mods are just... They can make that game look better than next gen, pretty much. It's crazy what those modders can do. But I don't know, fuck, dude, I'm running, I think I have 125-ish mods running on Skyrim right now. Just different, just little things, you know. And then I have like my bigger texture packs and things like that. That game looks better than most things that are coming out nowadays, and it's fucking nutty to me to be able to sit down on my PC and be like, I've played this on console and I've beaten this on console and whatever else, and like now all of a sudden, you know, it's like I can mod this game to where my fireball does like 10 million damage and it's basically like an atomic explosion, you know. It's like makes the game a little cheap, you know, because you can just go around and do that to everybody, but just the fact that you can do that, it's just like it's so much fun.
Speaking of like poor modders in a sense, Blizzard is filing a lawsuit against 10 StarCraft 2 hackers, which first thing I hear is when I hear the word StarCraft 2, I'm like, really? Is this our biggest worry?
Well,
and the problem is they're saying like, oh, it breaks the legal codes of like what we had set in the game that these kids agreed to or whatever. They all call them kids, like they're fucking like 12-year-olds or something.
Well, StarCraft 2 in the Major League Gaming events and stuff is like
still just as high.
Huge, dude. It's huge.
Well, it's funny because you get those gaming leagues and like it's really a lot of the old games hold so strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's like fighting game tournaments. Like you always look at them, it's like no matter what, you always get Street Fighter 2.
Yep.
They always have Street Fighter Alpha 3. Yep. They always have Third Strike. You always look at it's like those games never wear out.
Yeah.
A lot of like modern ones, they don't like sometimes they don't even have Street Fighter 4 in it. You just bypass that one.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's what upsets me with the Major League Gamers is like when I was playing Halo 3, like hardcore, like fucking trying to get into the MLGs.
Trying to get a job on doing that.
It was massive during that time period, dude. Everybody was playing Halo 3. And then Halo Reach comes out, it lasts in the bracket for a year or two, and then Halo 4 comes out, and it literally lasted like one season, and then they just fucking out.
That's it.
And it's upsetting for like such a tactical game to be kicked out of, not so much Halo 4, but for such a tactical game like Halo, the core of Halo, to be swapped over to everybody's playing Call of Duty in MLG now. It's like, granted, it's a fantastic game. It's great for what it is, but like I don't feel like I can sit down and watch an actual like Call of Duty tournament. You know, like Halo is actually interesting because you have so much teamwork going on that if one guy fucks up, if he looks to the right one way, you know, and just like misses that one shot, like the whole game switches.
Where Call of Duty is always kind of a free for all.
Yeah, it's more, even if you play on teams, it's more of an individual type game. I don't know.
Well, it goes back to my main thing. I always kind of have a lot of problems with some games. Like I think about Mass Effect. That's where I always go to. Mass Effect 2 and 3. You know, they just try to emulate being like Gears of War and stuff. And don't get me wrong, Gears of War is one of my favorite modern. I would say it's actually my favorite modern game.
Yeah.
In the last while, because mostly all my other games are all like games that came out on regular Nintendo. Legend of Zelda, Castlevania, Metal Gear, and then things like Resident Evil. Not regular Nintendo, but you know.
Yeah.
Older games. And then, but I'd say Gears of War is in my top 10. I actually like that series that much. But Mass Effect doesn't need to be Gears of War. I want it to be Mass Effect, not Gears. Hopefully they fix it on the fourth one.
I don't know where they're going to go with the fourth one.
It's supposed to be like a new story. Probably same universe, new story. It's not supposed to be Shepard. That's what they said.
I've read about that too. I think it's like you being Fallouted. It's like I feel like Mass Effect. I've just burned way too many hours in that game to where I have a hard time putting it back in my disc tray nowadays. I'll do it. I'll put it in the disc tray and I'll start playing it, but 10 minutes in, it's just like, fuck, dude, I have so much time I need to invest into this to get anywhere, you know? Like,
well, the one thing about Mass Effect is it actually wasn't that long of a game, though, because like, all of them I beat, like, in under 15 hours, like, first time through. And I mean, like, I'm not getting, like, everything, but I'm getting mostly all the main things.
See, that's where I played on 360, and when you got a 360, and granted, it's the same on PlayStation with trophies, but I don't particularly care so much about trophies.
Trophies just don't seem nearly as cool as achievements. I don't know why.
I don't know why
same
either.
thing.
I don't know why either. But the reason why I played Mass Effect series the way I did, to fucking do as much as you can during your playthroughs of it, is to get those fucking achievements. And like I said, dude, there's some achievements on there where I'm just like, you have to get 500 melee kills? Are you kidding me? Like, you know,
like melee kills are not really even a main thing of that game.
That happens, like, for me, maybe 3-4 fucking times throughout the entirety of the entire game. You know, it's like, oh, actually get a melee kill. So how many times do I have to play this over to get that fucking achievement?
I always look at some achievements and like, I like the achievement system because it gives me more reason to play the game.
Yep.
But there's always some on there I'm like, fuck that, I'm not getting that. I'm not just gonna sit here and play this game for 10 hours just to get one little thing.
There was a couple. There's 3 that really stick out in my mind. One being Halo 3. Like I said, it was a multiplayer achievement. I've never gotten it, but you had to play a ranked match, and it's called Mongoose Mowdown. You had to hit somebody with a fucking mongoose and take them out in a ranked match. One, being in a ranked match, you're not in a fucking vehicle for the most part.
You
You
get
have
killed
a
like in 2
battle
seconds.
rifle and you have a fucking sniper rifle, and that's how you do that shit. 2, it's hard as shit to kill somebody. You have to hit them dead on if they have full shields, and more often than not, you'll hit them and their shields will flare and you'll knock out their shields, but it'll make you go flipping, another 15 feet off to the left or whatever. Or if you got lucky, and I have a bunch of friends that got lucky to where I shot the guy, his shields went out, and then they hit him.
Yeah,
like that's just
luck.
never have fallen into place for me.
That sounds like a lot of circumstance.
Dude, that achievement is just ridiculous, and it's so easy. It's like a 5-point achievement. So there's that one.
Hey, that's the worst part too. Is they make it like 5 points. Fuck that. It's like make it like 50 if it's gonna be that difficult.
The second hardest achievement I think I've ever tried on the Xbox system or Xbox 360 was the Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the first one, the Mile High Club. You had to beat that on veteran in a certain amount of time, and it's just if you mess up once in your run through, you're fucked. Like there's no way you're gonna do it. If you crouch down too soon or something, or if you get stuck, you're done, dude.
That's it.
I played that for hours, dude. Hours and hours and hours and hours of fucking trying that goddamn achievement. And finally I gave up. And then our buddy fucking Josh Hyatt, just like, he gets it one day and I see it on the leaderboard thing and I'm just like, you motherfucker, dude. Are you kidding me? Third hardest achievement I think I've ever tried was, it's an arcade game. It's called Geometry Wars 2.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
I played it, but I know that.
There is this mode called, pretty sure it's called Marathon or something like that, to where it's 20 levels, and basically all you have to do is you have to clear out these levels, and it's labeled 4 across and 5 deep, I think, something like that. It's just like little blocks, and the achievement's called Smile. So basically you have to win the first one, purposely lose the second one, win the third one, purposely lose the fourth one, win the fifth one, and then you go across and you make a smiley face out of your loses, like across the fucking board, and you have a set amount of lives per fucking playthrough, and if you don't get that right, dude, it's infuriating. It's so
that sounds like too much work.
Mad at that fucking game, but there's a lot more than that out there, like there's so many of them that I can just think of that I just tried and tried and tried. The 72-hour thing on fucking Dead Rising.
Oh, yeah.
Where you gotta survive for 72... Dude, and no pot. Like, you can't even fucking pot. You can't do nothing. You just gotta play it. For, like, I think the total time on that's like 7 hours or something like that you gotta beat it.
I remember one of the first games I ever maxed out all the trophies on that was not, like, an easier one to get them was, like, I remember, like, on Sonic's, like, Sega Genesis collection. Mm-hmm. And the hardest fucking one on there was, like, you had to play, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine and like beat that game, and when you get fucking there towards the end of Dr. Robotnik, have you ever played Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine? It's based off a Japanese game called Puyo Puyo Pop. Have you ever played that? Have you ever played Kirby's Avalanche for Super Nintendo?
Probably.
All these games, okay. What Puyo Puyo Pop is, that's like the main one, and they just kind of put it into other things. Is you get these little blob things and it comes down Tetris style, and then you line them up based on colors, and then they break and then they fall down and so on. You've probably seen pictures of it before, but
I wouldn't doubt.
But it's just like when you get the Dr. Robotnik, it's just the point where like you just watch his screen and they're just falling, just like it's raining as hard as can be. And you're like, there's no possible way I can keep up with that.
Yep.
And you just play it over and over and over until you just dumb luck win it.
Yep.
But it's just so fucking difficult.
There's way too many, man. It's like RJ recently picking up Ninja Gaiden 2. I wake up one morning, he's sitting there on my couch and he's playing Ninja Gaiden 2. And just me just looking at that game just brings back all these memories of me just wanting to break my controller over my face. Just like...
And that's the hardest Ninja Gaiden by far.
Oh my god, dude, that game is just... that game and fucking Dark Souls, dude, are two games that just piss me the fuck off, dude. I
don't want
can't
to
do
talk
it.
about Dark Souls. A fucking bastard of a game, dude.
God, it's so amazing, though. It's such a good game. Both of those games are
dude.
incredible games, but they're fucking hard.
Did you know what the worst thing about Dark Souls is? When you get into a fucking section when you know isn't that hard and you should be getting through it, dude, but for some reason something keeps happening and you keep end up fucking dying.
One fucking wrong parry, one roll off the edge or something.
And next thing you know, you're stuck in an enemy combo against like 6 guys, dude. You're like, fuck, man. Now I gotta go back to my fucking save point.
Find that to me, like, I don't know, when people explain Dark Souls to me, I'm just like, I don't know, that doesn't sound fun. That just sounds like work.
Dude, it's fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah. It's a really good game. Don't get me wrong.
You don't want to put it down, dude.
It's really, it sounds like one that's cool, but But I don't know. There's like that toss up in there. Like I
I'll
don't
put
know,
it down
man.
because Grand Theft Auto 5 came out though.
Okay, so I got a funny story to tell. I go and see my buddy Rory
Uh-huh.
a few days ago.
He wants to be on the podcast. He's really
Yeah,
excited.
yeah, no, we need to get him on the podcast, and he should actually be the one telling the story, but I'll tell it anyways.
Fuck, he's not gonna be here for a while.
So, have you seen anything about DayZ? That MMO game that was built off the Arma 2 engine. It
I
was a
saw
mod.
one picture and like a 2-paragraph snippet of it in a magazine.
Okay. So he's playing DayZ, and the way he describes it to me, he goes, okay, so I started the game, you start out on the beach, you have nothing on you but like a flashlight, pretty much. It's a total, just open world type game, it's full of zombies, full of other players. And he goes, so he plays for about 8 hours, and he said that he was having a bitch of a time because the only gun that he was working with was a broken Mosin Nagant that he had to like keep repairing over and over and over again to fucking get to work, and then pretty much told me that not so much the zombies are too hard in that game, it's really the other players you gotta watch out for.
And that's what I've always said about real zombie survival in real life. It's
Yeah.
you never have to worry about the zombies. It's the people.
It's the other people. So he tells me that he gets to a point in the game to where he's gonna call it quits, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm done." So he goes onto the Wikia page, starts reviewing a little bit more about it, seeing the different weapons, seeing the different things that he can pick up. So he finds on there, a saw, which is, that big fucking machine gun, and it comes with like
the saw machine.
yeah.
That's right.
So it comes with two of those clips that you can plug into the bottom. It has like 200 rounds per clip.
Yeah.
So he sees that on there and it intrigues him again. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna try to find this gun." So he plays for about 4 hours. He says. He gets to an airfield after trudging along through this fucking forested area, just trying to avoid other players. He finally gets to this airfield, goes inside of a hangar, and he finds a fucking gun, and he is more than excited. He tells me that during that whole time period, he avoided all cities because that's where people hang out, and he's like, "Fuck that, dude. I'm not gonna get killed. I'm not gonna try any of this shit." So he finally picks up the saw, and he's feeling like a badass. So he's like, "I'm gonna go back down to the city that's closest to me and just wreak havoc on everybody with this saw." So he says he gets down to this town. After he gets to the airfield, jumps in a car, drives down to this town. Gets to the town, hops out of the car, and then he walks inside of a building. And he's looking around, can't find anybody, can't see anybody. And then he said, out of nowhere, this fucking guy drops down off the second balcony, lands right behind him, constrains him to where his hands are tied, and he can't do shit. And this guy pulls out a gun, is facing at him, and then he just starts typing. He said that he was reading the text from this other guy. He's just like, "Get down on the ground." Rory goes like, "What? Why? Like, what's going on?" He's like, "I want you to get down on the ground." So Rory like hits the crouch button, and I guess when you're constrained and you're crouched on the ground, any player that's in your vicinity can go through your backpack and take your shit. So he's constrained on the ground. This guy's pointing the gun at his head, telling him to get on the ground. So he does it. This guy walks up to him, searches through his backpack, fucking takes out a saw. Takes a saw that he just found. He was so excited for. Pulls out the saw and is aiming it at his head, and then he types, "Hey kid, do you like tuna?" And Rory goes, "Like what?" Like basically, what the fuck are you talking about? This guy goes, "Do you like tuna?" And he goes, I guess so." There's a mechanic in that game to where you can like take prisoners, and then like as you drag them along, they get tired and they get weak and they get hungry, and stuff like that. So you can force feed people. So this guy pulls out just a bunch of fucking cans of tuna and just starts force feeding Rory's character until he throws up. His character's like vomiting all over the place and stuff. And then he says this guy just goes like, "Well, that was fun," and then just shoots him in the head.
That sounds like a fucking horrible experience, but that's hilarious.
There was that story from somebody that I know, and then I read this other story. Actually, I didn't read it. I watched it on YouTube. It was a Let's Play video. This guy, again, every time you spawn, pretty much after you die, you pretty much like spawn in a beach area type, like it's right next to the road, and the road takes you to all these different areas. So this guy spawns on the beach, his first time playing, goes through the game for a couple hours and stuff, and then he finds this guy, I can't remember the username, but he finds this guy, and he wants to befriend him, like, "Help me out, I'll help you out, here, I got some supplies, I'll trade, I'll do this." This guy trades with him and whatever else, and then this guy runs up to him with a pitchfork and stabs him, and then he starts to run away. Well, in this game, once you get impaled or cut or anything like that, you start bleeding out. And the only way to really regain your health is to find an IV pack and bandages, and you have to, like, inject yourself with an IV pack, refill your blood flow. So this guy, like I said, he just runs up, stabs him once, and then fucking takes off in the woods. So he's just left there just fucking bleeding out. His character dies. He respawns back on the beach. He's still in the same area. The guy fucking runs back with a pitchfork, stabs him again, and fucking runs away. And he said that happened probably about 6 or 7 times, dude. I'm watching this video, and he just by the end of the video, like by about the 15th time that he spawns, he's just sprinting away from this guy, and this guy's just chasing him with the pitchfork, dude.
It's a fucking asshole.
He's just like, fuck this, dude, and he just like Alt F4s out. Just like... But yeah, dude, that game looks fucking.
That sounds like a really
crazy.
sweet game.
It sounds fucking
That's
awesome.
pretty bad, and that's PC only at the moment.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
There was one real cool thing I want to say that I read today. Have you ever heard of the Retron 3? They probably made a Retron 4, but this new one coming out is Retron 5. What the Retron 3 is, and Cisco actually has one of them, is it's a system that pretty much, you know, third party, but it plays Super Nintendo, regular Nintendo, and Genesis cartridges. You can plug in all the original controllers. It does come with some wireless ones, but they run on RF, so they're not nearly as good. And it's a sweet idea, you know. You got all your old cartridges, especially if you don't have the old system. You can play them, and it plays about like 95% of them. We found a couple games that didn't play. Didn't play Game Genie and whatnot. But I never heard of the Retron 4, but there's a Retron 5 coming out, and I was reading about it, and it says it plays 10 different systems on it. But when I was reading the thing, they only named one. They named, like, in a sense, 8, but I don't know if they consider, since, like, because it plays, like, the Japanese and the American ones, I don't know if they consider that being 2 different systems. Because it plays, you know, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, it can play Master, it plays Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. But then they also kind of named off, like, we'll play Super Famicom, and it plays Famicom, and it's just kind of like, well, that's really the same system.
Yeah.
You know, and there's, like, Mega Drive, so once again, same system, but whatever. Still sounds like, if anything, it plays 5 different systems. But they got this thing hooked up that, like, it comes with really sweet-looking Bluetooth, like, wireless controllers. You can still plug in your old controllers. But these new ones they look like they did a good job on these, because the other ones before were just like, oh, okay, you didn't really use them. You're just like, oh, give me a Super Nintendo controller. Right. They top it off. It plugs in, has an HDMI cable, and it actually runs the 60 frames per second and, like, 720p. Really? So they look as good as they possibly can look on these games. But this is the coolest thing I thought on it. Is you plug in an SD card, and you can have save states on the cartridges. Like a ROM. I'm like...
That's awesome.
Because that's the main reason. Like, really, once I started kind of, like, playing my emulators on, like, my Wii and stuff... Because, you know, I had my computer forever, and I used to just use it to play Japanese games and games that I just didn't have and whatnot. But, like, when it came down to the physical game, I'm like, if I own it, I'm just going to play it on the system.
Right.
But when I got it on the Wii, it was just like, well, I can play it on the TV. I like the controller. I got my save states. I'm pretty much set.
Okay.
You know, but like with this though, it just sounds like, oh man, if you could play the cartridges with the save states, because going back to some old games, it's like, fuck that, I'm not playing those games without save states. Some of them are just too hard to sit down and just die over and over and over again, not really getting anywhere. You know, in some games you just kind of gotta get to that point where you're just like, okay, I gotta save each level so I don't start at the very beginning once again.
Yeah, I have that issue with my PC all the time playing emulators, is I forget to create a save state, and then it's just like, fuck, dude, the last, like, 3 hours of my gameplay here is just gone now.
I get so used to it, because on my Wii, it's just always like, you know, you get someplace, just like, click the center button, click the save state, okay, back to the game, you know. It's nicer on the computer, because you can just go, like, hit, like, F6 or whatever it is, and just go click and do it real quickly. Just gotta be careful you don't hit, like, F5 and reloads it.
Yep. I know, me and RJ, actually, what was it, last weekend we were playing, what's that game called? Punch-Out, I think?
Yeah. Oh, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out?
Yeah. We were playing that, and it was, like, very apparent, because Kim was asking about, you know, at the end of every fight, you get a code, you know, to do that. She's like, what is that? It's just, like, just thinking about going back to that time era before...
Archie, get out the notepad, write this down.
Yeah, you know, you have to write down the code, you have to enter the code, and then you can restart right where you were.
Then you gotta type in those long, like, Metroid. Have you ever seen the codes in that one? Like, the original one? They give you these fucking, like, paragraph-long codes, you know, to get you to each thing. But, no, the save states really, that, I don't, like, some people call that cheating. It's like, technically, I look this way, it's not cheating whatsoever, because no matter what, you still have to beat that section.
Yeah.
You know, you do, all you do is, it just kind of beats having to, like, okay, go back and do this part that I've done 1,000 times already again. You know what I mean?
Well, that's dipping into what we were talking about earlier, I had mentioned it on previous podcasts, but now that we've actually played more of it, I can talk about it more. But that game, Hotline Miami, is very similar, dude. You can get... So it's a top-down style game. Imagine like Grand Theft Auto, the original Grand Theft Auto style, like top-down type game.
So when RJ explains, it sounds like Smash TV to me.
Pretty much.
Just modern.
And you just got to clear rooms, basically, is all you're doing. What I can get out of the game so far is that you're a hired hitman, and people call you in for jobs, and you go into these buildings, and you just fucking murder everybody in the most gruesome fucking ways.
Badass.
And it's all 8 or 16-bit or something like that, so it's pretty retro looking. But it's the same thing, man. You can go through an entire level and kill everybody in the level, and then it's just you make one mistake there right at the very end, and some guy turns around and sees you and hits you with a fucking crowbar or something like that and kills you. Restart the whole goddamn level all over again. It's just like, fuck.
Yeah, that's always kind of like, there's a point where I get to when I just kind of get older where it's just like, fuck you. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to save at every single level because I just don't want to do it over again. Like, I just feel like I want to play through the game, but I don't want to sit there and kind of like waste my time that I could use to either, one, play another game, or just, get this through, It's kind of like, I'll play some games like, I'll go back and play old Ninja Gaiden on like regular Nintendo or Castlevania, and those games it's like, fuck, I'm just going to save like right here where these like horrible jumps are, and if I don't make it, well, I'll just restart right from that point. Mm-hmm. And then, once again, as I say, I don't really look at it like cheating. The only time I'd say it would be cheating is if it was like for tournament play. Or something like that. Then I don't think you should do it. Yeah. I don't think you should be there for that. But for every other play, I don't... Because it's not like it's progressing you farther. It's not really like using Game Genie codes. Yeah. Which, speaking of which, actually, go back to Retron 5, they have a built-in Game Genie in it, too. Really? And Game Genie was one of those ones, like, when I was a kid, that was the coolest thing to have. It was like the fucking holy grail of any system. Anybody owned a Game Genie, it was like amazing. It was like all the possibilities that you could do with these games. When you kind of get to an older stage, you go like, Game Genie's cheating, man. When I get older, I come back and go, fuck that, dude. I love the Game Genie. It makes games better, you know? Who cares? Some games, I just want to see the end of them. More than anything else. It's like, I've attempted these games hundreds of times, and I've never got to the very end. Fuck it, I'm giving myself a limited life. You know what I mean? Limited lives. I'm just going to go through the game and just enjoy it.
So I got some really good news. We're going to dip into Valve here real quick. So, I read an article earlier from technobuffalo.com.
Buffalo.
The main title of it says Half-Life 3 and Left 4 Dead 3 in development, says Counter-Strike co-creator.
Badass. I've been waiting for Left 4 Dead 3.
So, Left 4 Dead 3 is definitely being worked on right now, which you can automatically assume if Left 4 Dead 3 is being built right now, you can automatically assume that there's going to be a Portal 3, there's going to be a Team Fortress 3, there's going to be a new Counter-Strike, and there's going to be a new Half-Life.
Nice.
He pretty much said, okay, this guy's name is Minley, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. Minley, who previously worked at Valve, says that the two are definitely in development. In fact, Lay claims that he saw Left 4 Dead 3 in action and it looks great. So essentially what that means so far now is that there's going to be a new Source engine. And with the new Source engine means that there's going to be a lot of awesome games coming out.
That's badass.
I am more than thrilled, dude. It's been... Half-Life 2 came out, 2004, I think? And then their
that was a long time ago.
Episodal packs afterwards were 2007, I think. So it's been a good amount of years, man. And what they're going to do with Half-Life, fuck, I don't know.
And Half-Life's a series that people... They always, whenever they go to that back, they're like, whoa, what's the game you'd like to see coming out? You always see Half-Life on the top 10 list. Mm-hmm. They're like, people want a third one of that. Yep. And Left 4 Dead, it's one of those games, that was the very first game I ever bought for Xbox. Even though, when somebody explained to me, I thought it was actually a little bit different. The way they made it out, that I thought it was more like a survival game. And I remember when I was like, oh, it's an action game. Well, it's still pretty cool. But, it's like, I just enjoyed that game. And I played, me and my friend Kyle, who's been on the podcast, we played the hell out of that game without ever going online. I put so many hours in that game just playing regular co-op. Yeah. And then I got Left 4 Dead 2, and it was really sweet. I was kind of bummed though that they really you could only play one mode out of 5 on offline. Dude, whatever, it's the main mode you want to play.
I hate Left 4 Dead Online, dude.
Well, the thing about Left 4 Dead...
It's not fun playing with other people online, dude, because they just run and they go and do their own fucking thing, dude. And you're like, dude, come the fuck back. Don't fucking run away. And then they take some other different route, and you're like, fuck you, dude. That's the dude. That
Well,
was
this is
my
how
whole
I would like to play
experience
Left 4 Dead.
online.
Is if we got all of us together in a fourth person, and it was like we sat in the same room, hooked up Xboxes together, and played them that way. I would love to play Left 4 Dead that way.
Yeah.
But I will say, because I remember it's like, the first time I played Call of Duty online, it's like, a lot of these people are really fucking good. You go and play Left 4 Dead, and you're like, a lot of these people are really fucking shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like it was the exact opposite. Where I'm like, dude, I'm like one of the best players on here. Maybe because I'm the only person like fucking being a team player, but
Yeah.
exactly, dude.
That's all that game's about.
No one wants to be a team player.
no, everybody just goes fucking
ever.
like.
I never had.
And a lot
one
of times when I
person.
played Left 4 Dead, I'm like, is this really just like somebody said like their friend Billy's always like, oh, I'm gonna go take a shower. Billy, you can go play Left 4 Dead if you want. He fucking just goes on there and just dicks around. Like, I never played this game before, but I'm gonna go play it online.
I thought that was a cool feature though in the Left 4 Dead series is that if you're playing online with a bunch of people, and say, oh man, I gotta go use the restroom, or hey, my pizza's done, or whatever.
You can turn a computer player on.
You can turn your computer player on, and he just plays for you. It's like that's awesome, dude. That's so cool.
Well, that's kind of like, I remember playing Gears of War matches a lot, and it's like, whenever the match switched to the next one, it's like, you had literally 1 minute to get up and run to the bathroom, and like, you're fucking peeing, and you hear the match, you're like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, and then you like wash your hands really quickly, and you run back over, and then like, you jump in, and then like, ah, fuck, I was shot already.
Yep.
Or you got like, you just got the other guy just stand there looking at you, swinging at you like, come on, move, you fuck.
Yep. No, that was me with Halo 3, dude. Probably the.
Where you're like, I should just invest in a piss cup.
Yeah. No, dude.
Why even get up?
The longest marathon I ever had with Halo 3 was 2.5 days that I stayed up pretty much straight, non-stop playing matchmaking. And yeah, that beginning tone that you know that the match starts, it goes 1, 2, 3, and then beep, and then it starts. It's like boop, 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 beep, and then like, oh man, dude, there's so many times where I was in that exact scenario, taking a piss, just like fuck, and you hear that, shit, you just run back over and fucking start playing.
Jump over the couch, roll, grab the controller, because that's like the last thing. Is like for me when I play online, like I don't want to look like a shitty person online. That's like,
yeah.
I don't want to be known as that shitty guy on there. It's like, oh, there's that guy who fucking just leaves his player standing there, like, doesn't give a flying fuck about the team.
Yep. Well, anyways.
I don't know, man. I got one probably final thought, unless you got another final thought. There was, I was reading this article about Quentin Tarantino online, and he was pretty much, the cool thing, what it sounds like, is that he's going to be doing, it looks like he's working back on his newest kind of movie / whatever he turns it into. He's not too sure what he's going to make. He says he might make it into a play or something, but it's called like The Hateful Eight. And so it sounds, because at first the script got leaked, like the first draft. He was like, fuck this, fuck everyone, fuck you, I'm not making a fucking movie. And then he kind of went into like hiding for like 5 months or whatever, and then he kind of came back down and said like, well, I got over that. And
yeah.
he's like, okay. But then he started telling these like other rants. He's like, you know what? This generation's all a bunch of fuck-ups, Someday, maybe the next generation will know that to appreciate film because, there's too much digital stuff everywhere. He's just going on this whole, like, hateful digital rant. And it's kind of like one of those ones, like, don't get me wrong. There's thousands of great movies that are on film. But I really just want ones like, yeah, there's that nostalgic factor of, like, film. And it's cool, but when you really boil it down, it's like, way more expensive. You gotta have projectors. I mean, you gotta have the projectors. You can't just come up and pop on like the digital one. It technically doesn't look better. You know what I mean? Like, they have such great, digital cameras out nowadays that who cares? And plus, I was kind of thinking about it, even though he did kind of say it's like, well, it's okay for like, people like looking to jump into, making movies. I'm like, because at first I hear that, I'm like, you just don't want any young people coming in making movies, because that's like kind of the whole point. Like when digital came out, it's like, oh, I can go make a movie. I don't have to go out and get like an 8mm. Or if you're lucky, you have a 16mm and still spend, $20,000 making a movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Just because you gotta, get the film made and, develop it, print it, so on.
Yep.
But I'm glad to see he's making that because that sounds like a sweet idea.
That's good.
And anything Quentin Tarantino, you really just can't go wrong with.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny just going on this huge rant. Just like, fuck this generation, fuck you, and fuck your digital display.
Yep.
He's like, it's like, what's the point of going to the movies? It's like watching TV on a big screen.
Yeah. I feel that way too, man.
But yeah.
Well,
that's probably a good place to leave off. Make sure you go to oldmanorange.com. Until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm RJ.
and I'm Cameron.
We'll see you some other time. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorange.podcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. If you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.